All right, we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. Yesterday we talked about slopes, and today we're going to see what the big deal is about slopes. These are two theorems that you're going to have to remember. Parallel lines have the same slope. That should make sense to you. Parallel lines are going in the same direction and they never cross. So if they're going to move in the same direction, they got to have the same slope. Perpendicular lines, on the other hand, have a negated reciprocal slope. That negated word we've talked about before. We've said you change the sign. And reciprocals, that's something you probably haven't heard for a while, but basically you take a number and you flip it. And I've got an example right there. 2/3, the reciprocal of 2/3 would be 3/2. The reciprocal of 4 would be 1/4. So what I'm saying down here in purple with these examples, if I have one slope that is 3/5, the perpendicular slope would be -5/3. I flipped the fraction and I changed the sign. My example 2, if I have a -7, a perpendicular slope would be a 1/7, a 1/7. And notice how it's positive. So now we're going to be looking at some points and deciding if the slopes would be parallel, perpendicular, or neither. We're going to look at some lines and figure out the same thing. So the first thing is we're going to graph these two sets of points. So the first one, this is very tiny, guys. I apologize for that. I'm going to go 0, 2, and then I'm going to go -1, -1. So the slope between those 2 points would be 1, 2, up 3. So I'm looking at UV, so it would be a +3/1, which just simplifies to a 3. Now I'm going to look at the slope of XY. So I'm going to go to 3, 1. And now I'm going to go to -3, 3. All right, and the slope there would be 1, 2, -2, because I went down 2, over 6. So -2/6, that's going to simplify to a -1/3. So if I have a 3 and a -1/3, and I had lines drawn, okay, drawing a line there, drawing a line here. Now it looks like those would be perpendicular if I just drew them. Sometimes my drawings are a little bit sloppy, but when I look at these slopes, I know for a fact that 3 is perpendicular to -1/3. Okay, so these lines, if I drew lines, would in fact be perpendicular. So let's go with the next one. GH. I want to go -3, -2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And H is 1, 2. It's a 1, 1, 2. Now let's look at the slope here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Over 4. And that's going to give me a 1. All right, and let's look at IJ. I is -2, 4. Let me double check that. And now I'm going to go J. I'm going to go to -4. Let me erase this tiny, tiny blue dot. I didn't mean to put that there. So now let's look at my slope between my blue dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. I went down 8. Let me double check. And then how many over did I go? 4. So this would become a -2. Now, the slope of GH is 1. The slope of IJ is -2. It's not the same number, and they're not reciprocated, so this would be a neither. Okay, that happens sometimes. It's okay. Next one, CD. CD. I'm going to go -1, -3. -1, -3, and then 1, 1. So my slope of CD is 4 over 2, which just becomes a 2. And now, let's look at EF. -1, 1. And 0, 1, 2, 3. So my slope of EF is 1, 2 over 1, which equals 2. Is that the same number? Yeah. That means they have the same slope, and that means that if we were to draw lines here, they would be parallel. Wow. Now I've got actual equations of the lines, okay? I'm going to use Desmos for this one. Remember, Desmos doesn't care how I type stuff in. So I'm going to type in exactly what I see here. And now I'm going to type in this one, the second one. Come on now. I'm going to type this in below it. Again, make sure I'm typing it in right. Okay. Now look at those two lines. Well, they're definitely not parallel. And does it look like there's a 90-degree angle formed right there? No, it doesn't. So this one would be neither. All right. Do this again. Typing in that equation. Typing in the second equation. I'm double checking my equations. And now look, what does that look like? Well, that looks like I got some parallel lines right there. So, last one. Type it in the first one. I'm just typing it in exactly like I see it. All right, I got a low battery. It's okay. Don't worry, guys. We'll make it to the end. This is my last example. We'll be good. All right, now I want to take a moment and, yep. And wow. What do y'all think about that? Yeah, I think that's about as perpendicular as any two lines could get. All right, that's it. We're done.